Hello everyone and welcome to PE Academy. So in this video I'm going to be going through an isometric projection of a drawing. You can see it on the screen. This is it here. So this is more like a video request from I got on YouTube. So I'm just going to be going through this real quick. Since it's just a video request and unfortunately I don't have all my drawing tools here, but I'll be working with the one I can lay my hands on. So I'll put you through how to draw this. All right. So guys, now let's get started. If you are new to this channel, please kindly click on that subscribe button to subscribe to the channel. And please, if you are new to isometric projection and you're asked to draw this, please I'll advise that you go through the previous drawings I've done on isometric drawings and isometric projection. I think I have well over 25 videos on isometric drawing and isometric projections already. And if you have actually watched those videos, I want to believe you won't have problem drawing this exactly. But let me just go through it briefly. Okay, so to start with, let me see if I can put this somewhere here. So I'm going to be drawing a straight line to start with. So I hope the line is visible enough. All right, so on this line, I'm going to take my measurement from here to here, and which you will see it here, which is given to be 60. And then we have 13 from here to here is 13. That is this here is 13. And then, so let me do that first. Let me start with that. Then we have 13, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 11, 12, and then 13. Okay. So what I want to do now is to project it vertically upward. I don't have my big artist square here, but let me just work with this. So I want to project these lines upward. So it should be faint lines. So it should be a faint line, but I'll try to make it bold so that you can see it on the camera. Okay, it's not so visible, but it should be faint lines. So what I'll do now is to check out the height. You can see that the total height here is this 59? So the total height, what I'm seeing here is 59, and then we also have the height from here to here to be 17, and then the length from here to here is given to be 16. Okay, so let me take note of those things now. So let me measure the 59. So that's 59 mm. So this is it here. Then also let me take note of 17. So this is 17. And also let me take note of 16. So let me replicate the same thing here. So 59. And then 17. Okay. Now remember that what I'm trying to do is, if you look at this diagram, if you look at this is in direction of X, so what are you going to be seeing if you are looking at it in this direction? Okay, so that's what is the front view. So the front view is what I want to achieve here. So with those points that I've marked, I can decide to go ahead and make it bold so that we can get that part of the drawing. So from that 17 where we measured 17, I'll just draw this line here. So what I want to do again is to just extend the line with a faint line, because we are still going to make use of it in drawing the side view. Okay, so with a faint line, so let me just make it a little bold so that you can see it in the camera. Okay, so okay. All right, so where we measured 16, that is, which is the thickness of this side here from here to here. So I'm going to extend that line also. So I'm just starting it with a faint line. All right, so now we've gotten some part of here, which is not the entire drawing, but at least we are going somewhere. Now let's analyze this part now here. So for us to get the length from here to here. Now look at it from here. We are told that from here to here is 40. As you can see it here, is 40. And you are told that this semicircle we are having here is having a radius of 30. So that means from here to here is 40. And from here to here is 30. That makes it 70. So what it means is that we are going to draw a line of 70 mm, which is 70 centimeter, then with an height of 16. Okay, so let's do that. So 70. So I'll be making use of the ruler more often since I don't have my t-square and the bigger set square. Okay. So I'll also draw this line. Remember, we measured the height already for the 16 mm, which is 1.6. So what I want to do is, I've gotten it already, but I'm going to extend this line with a faint line. I think we might still need to make reference to it. All right, because you see this curve that you are seeing here, if you are looking at it towards this direction here, you are not going to be seeing a curve. You are just going to be seeing something like this, like a rectangular block. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like if you are looking it towards the direction of X. Like you can see here, you are not going to be seeing it as a curve, but you are going to be seeing it just like a rectangular box. Next thing we want to do is, there's a circle here, so you have to indicate it in this front view that there's a circle here, and there's an opening here, there's also an opening here. So we need to indicate that in our drawing. So now let's do that. Now the circle is here like 4 centimeter away, that is 4 mm from this particular wall. Exactly, so that's 4 centimeter away, and we're told that it has a radius of 30. So you can see it, a radius of 30. So for us to indicate that, I'm going to measure where we have that. So this is it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're told that it has a radius. Okay, sorry, it has a diameter rather. Look at it here. You can see this particular circle, this is it. Yeah, this means diameter. Take a look at it. Once you have a 0 and then a forward slash across it, that means diameter, but this means radius. So this radius is for this bigger curve. Yeah, this bigger semicircle or the curve. So but this is 16, as a diameter of 16. So that means once we get 40, we are going to just mark off 8, 8 on both sides, both the left and right. So All right, so I've gotten, this is 40, measuring from here. Now this is 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 4 centimeters. So if I should mark off 8, so this is 8 here, and then on the other side, this is 8. Okay, so let me just do the same thing here since I don't have my set square to join the line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have 8 here and another 8 here. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to join it with short dashes, which indicates hidden details. Okay. All right, so I've given nice short dashes, but I want to extend it with a faint line because remember this is our front view and our top view is coming somewhere here. Okay, so the projections of lines that we get in our front elevation is what we're going to use to get both the top view and the side view. So let me just extend it once. Okay. Okay, it's not too visible, but let me just increase it. Let me just try to make it bold, but it should be a faint line. Okay, I think it's better like this. So the same thing we are going to repeat here with short dashes. Then let me also extend it with a faint line. All right. So what we've done there, we are going to do the same thing for this opening here. Now for us to get the measurement here, now remember that from here to here we are told is 59 with what we have here. So from here to here we are told is 17. Now if you look at the measurement that is being given here, if you look at it closely, from here to here we are told is 16, from here to here is 13, and from here to here is 13. Now if you add up everything, it should give you 59. Okay, so that's how you can pick your measurements from drawings like this. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to measure 16 here, measure 13, and then we're also going to introduce short dashes. Okay, because if you are looking at it from the front, you can't see this opening. Okay, but if you are looking at it from the front, that in direction of X like this, you can't see the opening, so we have to indicate it with short dashes. Now, so let's do that. So like I said, we're going to measure 16. So this is where we're having our 16. So this is the 16. Then we are going to measure 13. So here, this is 10, 11, 12, 13. So these remaining parts represent the other 13. So we are going to repeat the same thing here. So I'm on the 17. I'm starting from where we marked 17 before. So now we'll measure 16. So this is 16 here. Then 13. So this is 10, 11, 12, 13. And then the remaining part represents the 13. All right. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to... So one thing, you need to make sure that your lines are parallel. You understand? All your projections, make sure they are parallel. If not, it will affect the end result. Okay? All right. So I'm going to be drawing short dashes. So I haven't done that. Let me just draw across it a fence line. We are still going to make use of it if you are drawing the side view. All right, so I hope you can see that. Okay, so I'm repeating the same thing at the top. All right. Now we're almost done with the front view. Now what is left is, if you look closely, we have something here, this arrow pointing that it says 2 holes with a diameter of 12 on 44 cross section. So what it means is that within this space here, there are 2 holes there, and we need to indicate it in the front view. Okay, so if you are looking at it again towards this direction, you won't see the hole. So that means we have to indicate it with hidden details. Okay, so that means we are going to be having short dashes on this side of the drawing. This is it here. Okay, so That's what I want to do now. So for us to get that, we are going to find the center of this line. Remember, we are going to find the center. Once we get the center, then we are going to measure 6 mm to the right and 6 mm to the left and introduce our short dashes. So let's do that. All right, so remember the total length itself is 60. Okay, so the center should be at 30 mm. So this is it here, 30 mm. So let me measure 6 mm to the right and then 6 mm to the left. So with that, we already have our diameter of 12. So I'm going to repeat the same thing here. So if I had my t-square, I'll not need to measure it again below. I'll just place it across and then join it. Okay, but this is just another way if you don't have your t-square around or your set square. All right, so this center now, I'm just going to draw it with a faint line. Okay, so let me just make sure that it's accurate. So let me just replicate it at the top. Okay, so let me just draw this with a faint line. Okay, so where we've just measured 6 mm to the left and to the right, so I'm going to bring in my short dashes, and at the same time, I'm going to draw it across. So I'll replicate the same thing here. Okay. So with this now, we've been able to get the front view. Okay, that's the front elevation that is looking towards the direction of X, like towards this direction. So this is what you are going to get. So now the next thing I want to do now is we need to get the top view, okay, and then the side view. All right. So for us to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to project this top. I'm going to project it. All right, so what I've done now is I've just projected some of these horizontal lines and vertical lines. All right, so now that we have done with the top view, the side view looking towards the direction of X, so the next thing we are going to be drawing now, which is going to be below this, like in this space here, is this same diagram. When you are looking at it from the top, this time, like if you are looking at it from the top, what are you going to see? Okay, so that's what we want to draw now. And then remember I said that once you are drawing this, you have to make sure that your lines are parallel. Your vertical lines and your horizontal lines are parallel, because you can see it's the projections of all these lines that we are going to use to get the diagram here, exactly the view here, rather the view, that's the top view, and also the side view. Okay, so if your lines are not parallel enough, you are going to be seeing the effect in your measurements. Okay, so now let's continue. So what I want to start with is this portion here. So when you are looking at it from the top, what do you see? So that's what I'm going to be drawing here. Okay, so, and remember that if you're looking at it from the top, so that means from here to here is going to be 60, right? So that means you're going to bring it here, and you're going to give some space from this base here. You're going to give some space. So I've given it some space already from my own end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line across here. So I've given it some space. What I just did was I brought in my compass. Okay, so I just placed it here at a convenient length. So I just use it to draw a semicircle here, bring it here, draw a semicircle. So where it is touching the line is the space I want to give it. Okay, that's the distance from the view to the top view. Okay, so if you are finding value in this, please give the video a thumbs up. If you are yet to subscribe, please subscribe to the channel. Now if you place in your ruler, you should be getting the same 6 centimeter that we measured here. You should be getting the same thing from here to here. So if you find there might be some errors, maybe difference of probably 0.1 centimeter, right? That's like 1 mm. There might be a difference due to some errors and the likes. But if yours is already more than that, just know that your lines are not parallel at all. Okay, so that's why you need to make sure that from the beginning, make sure your lines are straight and parallel. So So I'll just go ahead and, first of all, let me just draw a faint line across, because we are still going to make use of it to draw our side view. So let me just draw a faint line across it. Okay. Now from that faint line, okay, I think I missed this line. This line too is supposed to, I didn't project this line. All right. So now I'm going to pick this, and then we are told that the length from here to here is given to be 76. So you can see it here, 76. So let me measure that. 76 should be up to this point. So I'm going to, let me repeat the same thing here. All right, so let me just use a faint line to draw it across. All right, so now let us now bring out the bold lines. So you see that now I'm just following the lines that we projected earlier. So once you are looking at it from the top, all right, so this is what it's going to look like when you look at it from the top. All right, so I just noticed that I made a mistake in this line. This should be, from here to here should be 76 mm, and here to be 7. So I measure 76 here, I measure 75 here. So let me quickly correct that. And if you look closely, it should be obvious that the lines was not parallel. So and like I said, you have to be very conscious of that. Make sure your lines are parallel. If not, it will affect, it will affect either the top view or the side view. Is that clear? So I'm going ahead to correct that, okay, even though I didn't erase it because I don't have an eraser here. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to just make sure I carry you along every step. Now I've gone ahead to draw this line that divides this top view, and this is the line here. You see this line that divides the top view into halves, okay? So I'm going ahead to draw it here. Now the next thing I want to do is, you see this opening here, we are also having it here. Now if you're looking at it from the top, you can't see it, but we need to indicate it in our drawing. Okay, that's number one. And also, if you look at this part where it says 2 holes with a diameter of 12, okay, on 44 CRS. So what it means is that from here to here, which is 44, this length that is 44, what it means is that you see this point here, this intersection here, if you should trace it down, there is a hole here. If you should trace it here, there's another hole here. That's why we are having 2 holes, okay? So now what we are going to do is, we are going to measure 44, okay? That's across this line, that's 22 here, 22 here, and we are going to draw an horizontal line, and we are going to use that line to locate where this hole will be. And at the same time, it will also help us to get the total length from here. Remember, this is 44, and we are told that this part here, this curve here, is having a diameter of 12. Okay, so we are going to use, no, not a diameter of 12 rather, but it's having an height of 13 here. And what is looking like a semicircle is having a diameter of 12. So we are going to be having 44 plus 12 will be the total length of this. So now let's replicate this here. All right, so remember from here to here 44, that will be 22, 22, then 22 plus, remember this is a diameter of 12. If you divide it by 2, the radius is 6. So 22 plus 6, That will give us 28. So I'll measure 28 on both sides. So let me do that. So once I measure 28 on both sides, then I'll draw an horizontal line. So the next thing I want to do now is to indicate these two holes. Exactly, these two. Remember that the two holes is 44, that's 22 centimeter away from the center. So let me indicate that. All right, so this is 1, 2, and then this is 22 here. Then 1, 2, and then 22. Now you notice that there are two lines here. Exactly. So the one at the top, we are not making reference to it. Exactly. That line is a mistake. I'm supposed to rub it off, but like I said, I don't have eraser here. My drawing tools are not complete. This is just a video request. Okay, so we are making reference to this. And so that's why, I don't know if you can see it somewhere here. I cancelled it here and then I marked this. So we are making use of this one here. We are not making use of the one at the top. All right, so now from that place that I've marked, just like we were told that two holes with a diameter of 12. So I've measured my compass to 6 mm. Okay, so what I'll just do is I'll come and place it here, and then I'll draw my circle. I'm going to do the same thing here. So with this now, we've been able to do this part of the top view. Should remain this portion here. Now, with respect to this circle, just to confirm that, or to be sure that what you have done is correct, that your projections and your lines are accurate, your circle with a radius of 6 mm should be able to touch these two lines here. You can see these two lines that we projected from here. Remember that this particular part here is we looking at the hole from the front, from the direction of X where we are giving. That was why we have these short dashes here. So now that we are looking at it from the top where the hole is visible, it should also be within this space here. Okay, so that's the essence of all this projection. They all have meaning. Okay. So now let's focus now on this. So now let me analyze this for you. For you to get the length from here to here, because you will notice that the length from here is different from this. Remember that the length from here to here is given to be 76 right here. We are told that it's 76. But the length from here to here, we are given to be 60. And how do you know? If you look at it here, the radius of this curve here, or this circle here, okay, this isometric circle is given to be 30. So if the radius is 30, that means the diameter is going to be 60. And if the diameter is 60, that means the length from here to here is 60, okay, 60 mm. So now that we know that the length from here to here is 60 mm, I've explained it the other now. From here to here, which would be from here to somewhere here, is also going to be 40 plus 30, which is radius, that's 70. Okay, we've gotten that already when we drew this part here. Okay, so I'm going ahead to mark the 60. So I just place the ruler here. So remember, this is the center here. Let me show you again. Remember that this line here, this is it here. This is it, this line. So this is it here. So what I did is I measured 30 to the top and 30 below. So what I want to do now is to draw a faint line across where we marked that 30. So this should be a faint line, okay? And then the one at the top. All right, so just to make sure you're not confused. So those are the lines. Now next is for us to draw this circle. What I want to do now is to draw this circle. Now the circle is going to be here. It's going to be at the center of this line. Remember, we are told that it has a radius of, diameter of 16. Diameter of 16. So that means the radius here will be 8. And we've measured it here earlier, even though I didn't project the line. As soon as I project the line, you'll see it here. So I'm going to measure the center here, which is going to be 8. And then from here, I'm going to draw a circle. So let me do that. All right, so at the same time, I'm trying to make sure that I don't skip any step, or I don't do anything behind the scene, but I noticed the video is just getting longer than I expected. Okay, but let's continue anyway. So now remember, from here to here is 16, so we're going to find the center, which is 8. I've already located the center now. Okay, so I bring in my compass. I've measured it to be 8 already, 8 mm. So I'll place it at the center, and then I'm going to draw the circle. Okay, so you just have to be careful when drawing smaller circles. So just make sure that your circle is within this, but these lines. Okay, so once it is just over it, then you should know that there's a mistake somewhere. So now I want to draw this vertical line. It should also be a faint line. All right. So now I can go ahead and measure my radius of 3 centimeters to get this curve. And just to checkmate what we have been doing so far, if I should bring in my ruler and I measure it now, you can see to the center we are having 3 centimeters. Okay, that's from the center of the circle here to this point here. Remember, that's from the center here to here is radius of 3 centimeters. So even measuring it on the sheet now, you can see we're having 3 centimeters. So that's to say that we have a good level of, at least to a large extent, we have a good level of accuracy. So these are the ways you can use to check if your lines are parallel. And again, that is why you have to make sure that all your projections, they are parallel. Because if they are not parallel at the top, it will affect the other projection. Remember, we've not even started the side view. Okay, so if there is a mistake here, it's going to reflect in the side view. Okay, so let's continue. All right, so now let me draw the curved part. And then you also notice that the curved part is touching the line for the 60 mm that we measured earlier. So you can see it here. Okay, so that's just another way to checkmate your accuracy. All right, so what I want to just do is to make that curve bold. So I'm just going to make it bold. All right, so now what is left with this top view is for us to, you can see I've made the semicircle bold, which is this part here, is for us to draw this line, and then you notice that there's a curve here, okay, and there's another curve here, which is this, okay. So if you have a French curve, you see that in those French curve there are some isometric circles, so you can just look for the one that has with a radius of 12 or a diameter of 24, so you can easily to get those curves. But since I don't have it here, I'm just going to do a freehand sketch. So let me just do a freehand sketch of the curve like this. So I'm going to do the same thing at the top. It's not supposed to be this wide anyway, but let me just leave it like this. Then, I haven't done that. I'm just going to join it to the semicircle. Okay, so now with this now you can see we already have a circle, we have a semicircle. So if you are looking at it from the top, so this is what you are going to be seeing. Okay, you are going to be seeing this circle, this is the curve, this is how it's going to look like, and then you see this place also that is looking like a curve. Okay, this curve, if you are looking at it from the top, you will not see it as a curve. Okay, you will not see it like that. This is how it's going to look like. Okay, so now we are done with the top, the one in direction of X. We are done with the top view. Now we are going to work on the side view. Now for us to work on the side view, we also need to project the edges of this circle. Okay, we are going to project it horizontally for this, the top, and then at this, the bottom at the top. Also the circle, this lower part, I'm going to project it. I'm also going to project it because that's what is going to help us to get our side views. Okay. All right, so now that we've done the one in direction of X, we've done the top view. Now what is left is the side view. Now, so what I've just gone ahead to do, just to make sure that the video is no longer than necessary, okay, is, like I said, this circle here, this line, I've extended the line from the edge of the circle, that's the circumference of the circle at this side. The same thing here at this circle here, I've also extended the lines also. Now, once you are done with this, the next thing is now from those points here, remember when we drew this first drawing, okay, from this point here, you are going to draw a line at an angle of 45 degrees. So you can see it here. So you can use your protractor to get 45 degrees. You're going to draw a line. The same thing here from this point, this edge here, you're going to draw 45 degrees straight down. Okay. So now the next thing you have to do is where these lines that we've projected, where it is touching this 45 degrees, you project it upward. The same thing here, where it is touching it, you project it upward. So if in case you don't know how to do that, you can use your T-square to achieve that, and you can also use your set square and your ruler where you're going to have something like this, you know. Once you place it like this, and then you put in your set square, then you adjust it to, so where it is touching all this horizontal line, where it is touching the 45-degree line, then you project it vertically. Okay, so now you have to make sure, I've emphasized on it a lot that you have to make sure your lines are parallel enough. Okay, if you want to know that you are correct, once you measure the length you measure here, this is 76, remember from the drawing. Once you put it at the top, it must also give you that 76, okay, because you are projecting the lines. So that's the essence of what I keep emphasizing, that make sure your lines are parallel enough. Okay, and if you notice that, at some point where I made mistake, I had to make sure that I correct it, because if you don't correct it, it will affect it. And again, once you are drawing just your side view, you actually don't need to measure, because what you are working with is all the lines that you've projected. You see, all these lines that we have projected are what we are going to use to get our side view. Okay, so now let's draw our side view. So the one that is going to be on this part here, so let's start from here. So then if you are not too sure of what it's going to look like, the best thing is to do a rough sketch. Even I myself, you can see here, I had to do a rough sketch before I start this video. That's just the best way. Just make sure you do a rough sketch to be sure of to have a picture or an idea of what you want to achieve. Okay, so what we are going to be having here on this side is you looking at it from this direction. So if I'm looking at it from this direction, whatever I see, looking at it in this direction is what will be on this side. Okay, while on this left side, I don't know how it will look like on the screen to you, but this is my left. Okay, what I'll be having here is when I'm looking at it in this direction, okay, in the direction of this pencil, okay, like behind this diagram, if I'm looking at it from the, let me call it from this side, this is what will be here. Okay, so just take note of that. So let's see, let me start from here. So if I'm looking at it from this part now, this is what I'm going to be having. So like I said, I don't need to measure, so I'm just going to trace out the lines. So I'm going to be having something that looks like this. Okay, that covers the entire base. So, okay, there's a curve here. There'll be a curve here. So let me draw it to this point here. Okay. Now remember this curve here. Okay, so from R5, that means the radius is 5. So like I said, if you use the French curve that usually have those isometric circles, just look for the one that is 5, and then you can use it to connect it all. But for this now, since I don't have it here, let me just do a freehand sketch. Let me just put it like this. Okay. All right, so now let's look at the internal part of it. If you are looking at it from this direction, this line here, you see this curve here, it will form a straight line. Okay, so that straight line, we don't need to draw it again. The height of this is 16. Exactly, the height of this is 16. So on this our 16 centimeter line that we drew at the beginning, so that's what we are going to just use. So we're just going to make it bold. So that's the essence of. Okay, so that sorts that out. Again, if you're also looking at it from this point, you see this line is not going to be visible. So what I'm going to do, we are going to be using short dashes. And at an height of 17, remember we already have it here. So on that line, that represents the 17 centimeter height right here. So this is it here. So we are going to be using short dashes to represent that. Okay, so it's going to be from here. So you need to be careful. So this is not there. All right, so that sorts that out. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to be including, I hope you can see it clearly. Okay, so the next thing we are going to include is, remember we still have this circle here. So you can see this circle. If you are looking at it from this, you will not see it, this circle. You won't be able, if you are looking at it from this direction, you won't see this circle. So what we are going to do is, and this is the circle here. So you are going to trace the circumference of the circle. You can see it here. So if I should trace it, this is it. And this is it. Remember, it's appearing on this side. So from here, I'm going to draw the short dashes on that 16 mm. So then the other circumference too, this is it. So I'm going to trace the line. I hope you can see it. So I'm going to trace the line. And this is it here. So you can see we don't really need to measure anymore. So just to trace out those lines. So that sorts this out. So the next one is this is visible. Okay. So we need to indicate this. So for us to indicate this, so this is the center here. If we should trace it up, this is it here. Now that part, this is it here. All right, so there's a line that I didn't project. Let me show you before I include it. Now, if you see the center of this circle here, we are supposed to also project it to touch here and project it up. So we are going to do it on both sides, so you can see. So we also need to project that line. So let me quickly project it from the center of this circle. Okay, once I project, I'll explain it. So let me also project that line. All right, so guys, I've gone ahead to project the line from the center of this circle, so you can see it here. So again, I need to mention that to see all these projected lines, you need to make them faint. The reason why I made it a little more, a little bold is so that you can see it from the camera. But once you are drawing yours, make sure it's very, very faint so that just the main drawing is what is going to be appearing. All right. Okay. So now what we want to achieve now is we want to indicate this. You can see this curve here. So it's actually running from here. So let me use. So we can make this bold because it will be visible. Then what you do is, now if you trace this circle, so if you trace it like this, from the center here, so you can see it here. So what we'll do is you're going to use your compass to draw a semicircle. So let me just do a freehand sketch of that. But so that was what's, because the radius is quite small. Okay, so the same thing here. Okay, all right, it's a little okay. All right, so now we've done that. So the next thing we also need to indicate is, now these two circles also, I mean these two holes, you can see they are holes. As you can see it here, they are holes. We need to indicate it while looking at it from this direction that there is a hole somewhere here. So for us to do that, we are just going to trace it. And remember, the hole is on this 17 mm height, which is this. So we are just going to trace it. So this is the first one here. So we are going to just use short dashes to indicate that. Then the second circumference of it. Then for the second one, just trace the projection. So guys, if you are finding value in this, please give the video a thumbs up. Okay. Then for this other one, this is it here. So, you know, like I said, we don't really need to start measuring things. Once you are sure that projection is correct, is accurate to a large extent, okay, you don't need to measure. Now, let's see, what else do we have? I think that's all. That's all. So we are done with this side view. So now let's move to this part here. So that means if you are looking at it in this direction, okay, so the direction of the pencil, maybe that's, you are looking at it from this side like this. So what are you going to see? So for that now, it's going to be within this space. That's from here, from this point here. Remember this line here to here. And I've said it earlier, you want to be sure, just make sure that the height here, once you put it on your base, is the same thing. Okay, so just make sure. All right, so for that now we are going to be having something that looks like this. There's going to be now this curve here. You can see if you're looking at it, you're going to be having a curve. Like you're going to be having something. Can you see something like this? Exactly. So for that now, let me just make it straight. I'm still going to do that. So this is going to look like this. Up to this point. So let me just use my hand to do the curve. All right, so I think that's neatly done. So if you watch the other videos on isometric projection, I think there are a lot of other videos I have on the channel. that I've done on isometric projection, you have a better understanding of what's going on here. Okay, so now the same thing we want to do here, we want to show that, remember, if you're looking at it from behind, okay, you'll be able to see this. So you're going to do something like this also. So that's going to be from here. So that's semicircle like. So my compass is not giving me, the compass I have here is not giving me that effect. So let me just use my hand. Oh, this is not looking good. Okay, well, let me just manage it. So that's for that part, which is this. This one should be visible because it's an opening. I want to believe it's an opening. Okay, so if you're also looking at it from behind, you won't be able to see this line. Remember that the thickness here is 16 mm, y is 17. Okay, so this will not be visible. And also, even the 17 also will not be visible, like this part here, it will not be visible. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using short dashes. Unlike if you are looking at it from here, you know, you can still see that of the 16, but you can't see that of the 17. But if you're looking at it from this direction, you won't see both of them. So you're going to represent both of them with short dashes. Okay, so that sorts that out. So what else? Now there's this circle here. If you're looking at it from behind also, you won't be able to see the circle, but we have to indicate that there's a circle here. So let me trace out that circle. This is it here. So we're just going to trace the circumference of the circle, and then we're going to use, this is it here, and then we're going to use short dashes also. So remember that the hole, rather it's a hole anyway. So this is the other side of it. So another thing we also need to indicate is this hole here, which is this and this. Okay, so it's lying on the 17. The side with the thickness of 17, so the hole there. So we also need to trace this. Okay, so this is it. Now for this also, and then on this other side, this other circumference of the circle should be, okay, I think I didn't project that. Okay, this should be it. All right. So with that, guys, I think we are done. We are done with all the views, and this is how you go about it. So over time, if you practice, you'll be able to get the concepts. And I hope you find value in this. Please, if you do, please give the video a thumbs up. Do make sure you subscribe to the channel PE Academy. And then you just make sure you watch the other videos on isometric projection in the playlist. Just check the playlist on isometric drawing. You find other videos there. So thank you very much. Do make sure you subscribe. Let me know what you think about this. If you have any question, just leave them in the comment section below, and I'll make sure I attend to them. So guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye for now.